Welcome everyone to the Select Board Water Commissioner meeting for July 8th here at the town office. Old business, we got Franklin County Sheriff's Office policy proposal, fire department paving quote, fastest trail signs in town on town highways, highway position applicant. We'll go into executive session for that. Town administrator's report. Approval for minutes of June 24th meeting, sign payroll warrants, sign fleet permits, and Heather, how are you tonight?
Okay. Great.
What brings you in?
Just wanted to see if we had considered expanding the sewer at all for the town Sheldon. I know it was something that had come up before and didn't know if you guys had put any more thought into it. I just brought pictures showing kind of where the town already has their water right away through the middle of the field, where they could expand the sewer straight through that same right away.
I know we were waiting for camera work to be done. It was supposed to be done 2 weeks ago, and something came up with the company that was coming to do the sewer work. We wanted to see exactly what we were dealing with over on Mill Street to see before we did any expanding, to make sure we could get what was already going there to there. And did that camera work happen?
Yes, it did, yeah. So it was on the 26th that Menage came and they cameraed and jetted School Street and then down Mill Street. And we were gonna do boarding House Street, but they didn't get to that. But anyway, there is a problem basically right in front of Todd Derry's driveway, where there's a one of that old, that's that part where there's the old clay pipes between the post office and the rail trail. And there was one section in there where water appears to be flowing through it, but they couldn't get the camera through there. So it was the same problem we had before. And they tried it coming down the street and they tried it going up the street.
Didn't know what the problem's coming up the street.
Not as far as I know. There was another problem further down, below where the mill parks the trucks there's a big pine tree down there that the roots of that are probably causing some problems, but so we may need to take that tree down, but they just had to jet that out, and otherwise the water, it was flowing fine, anyway, I have all the results for the camera work on the thumb drive, but that was the only problem where they couldn't get the camera through was in that particular spot, which is the spot we had the problem before. So
Is it clay the whole way, or
just the section between, I think it's between the post office and the rail trail is the old mill system, and then the other ends of it are the concrete pipes that were put in the 70s, I believe.
So it appears the problem was right in front of it.
It's right in front of Todd's driveway.
Oh.
Right out there.
Which is,
In the old infrastructure. I mean, apparently I think what's happening is that when the sections of pipe are coming together, there's a lot of this going on where the pipe, so the water is kind of having to flow like that. And this particular area, somehow water seems to be getting through there, but they couldn't get the camera through it they were concerned about getting it stuck or something.
either that or they piped around an obstruction that's in the ground and it's unbeknown to us.
Right.
And the pipe does a zig and a zag or something.
Right, yeah.
That it can't get through. Well, it's interesting, because that's been there for,
how long of a section did they say was the old pipe or the old spot? Did they say that?
I don't know. They didn't say that, but according to the as-built maps we have, I could show you where that is. I'd have to go print it,
That's fine.
but I believe it's more or less, as I said, between the post office and the rail trail. There's a section there of a couple hundred feet that is that older.
couple hundred yards.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. It's one of that.
So that's one of the things we were waiting for.
Are you talking about sewer line going across 105 on so on Shawville Road and then back out to your property? Or,
Going across, yeah, gravity
Oh.
feed,
or going, or putting a pump station out there and pumping it up on School Street?
either or, however it works, however it works. If we don't wanna go under 105, that's another permit, right? Or if we went all the way down to 219 Sweet Hollow, we'd have to have a pump station down at that end to get it to gravity feed if we did go under 105 and go across Shawville Road. But there's other people that wanna look on Shawville Road, so it'd probably be advantageous to go gravity feed across there.
I don't think we can get gravity from your lower property on Sweet Hollow.
Right.
There's gonna have to be a pump station, just a matter of where it gets pumped to, whether it's pumped back to below the store, wherever that, as far as the gravity can run back the other way, or if it gets pumped from the lower end of Sweet Hollow across the meadow to School Street.
Straight.
Again,
Well, not only that,
is there sewer on
one
that
shop
can't go?
that would like to look on, and we ran it.
Shawville Road? Where it goes right into the main,
No,
between the rail trail and 105.
That doesn't make sense.
No,
you just have to come up.
Across.
That's,
Shawville.
that's an issue in itself.
Shawville Road?
No, yeah, there's, you know,
There's two different,
I can't,
we would have to figure out what it would cost us to get underneath the rail trail and underneath 105, because those are two different, it's not like we're dealing with the same place.
Correct.
You know, those are two spots that we'd have to figure out, okay, what's it gonna cost us to get to there, and then what's it gonna cost to get to there, you know, those are two costs. But we haven't got any farther on discussing that, because we're waiting for the camera work to see what we need to do over there first before we put anything additional onto it.
So the camera work is done now?
Done now,
So you
yes.
guys are gonna assess how much, with that fix, how much money is left to do
Yeah.
something else?
Mhm.
Is there some funding also? I know there's not a big push for housing. And of course, that would put like a duplex online and they're doing a lot of wastewater, management also. Is there any funds available, like federal grants or even Vermont grants, federal money allocated to states for that?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, I can't say yes or no.
I know that there are, in general, I know that there are grant funds available for those types of projects. I'd have to look at this specific project and go out and look at what's available to tell you whether or not it would be
Fall.
feasible for what we're talking about. But in general, yes, there are, wastewater type grants available. Sometimes it might not be for funding the actual construction, but it might be for scoping work, et cetera, et cetera. VLCT has a whole, a resource for looking at federal funding for things where they've really worked up some resources for towns to look at that. So I can certainly take a look at what's available and tell you if I can find something that would work for this project, either as a looking at it or actually building it. A lot of the times you have to get a scoping study done in order to qualify for further funding down the road if you're gonna build something.
or typically,
Yeah.
with a sewer line that long, you're gonna be going from somewhere by the church, I would assume,
Yeah,
heading out, going underneath the rail bed, underneath 105, all the way out on Sweet Hollow Road. So you're talking about quarter to half, say, half a mile. Okay, so first thing you have to have is preliminary engineering. And the preliminary engineering would tell you what that might actually cost. And then it would be, if you started right now, it would be 2 years before you got a contract for somebody to do the work,
That's fine.
something like that. I would say that, realistically, we're gonna, Sheldon's not gonna go down there, but that's typically how it works, I guess. It'd be like 2 years out before you saw somebody.
For the transit.
And the potential there, the other thing is that what is the potential there? Obviously, it would pick up a couple of customers there, a couple of residents there that have poor sewer on the end of Shawville Road, I believe. And then on the other side of the road, whatever potential there is over there. So that would all have to be scoped out, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I would certainly, open that beginning of Shawville Road up to development, for sure, if it had sewer and water. Because that's the other thing, if you put sewer over there, you probably might run water with it, I'm not sure.
The water runs over there already. Water runs right through the middle of the field.
Correct. But, that would all be part of it.
And if we're 2 years out, that gives us 2 years to save. Right?
That is a board, like
To
I
plan
said,
for it.
I think, it has capacity, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's another,
I think it does, but I'm not.
The treatment plant, is rated for 54,000 gallons a day, I believe, and I don't think we come close to, I think most of the time. We have a few spikes in the spring when the snow melts, but otherwise most of the time we're well below that capacity. So, certainly for the houses that are there now, I think we would have capacity to deal with those. We do have we have been working with engineering on a project. It wasn't to extend the sewer as far as you're talking about, but there were a couple different options in that. And now that we've done the camera work, we'll be looking at those estimates that we have already.
There's a similar project to what we're wanting to do that kind of allowed us to give a per foot basically cost of what it could be. Like it's a similar, not saying it's exactly the same, but scenario wise is like close enough to go, this will work, but we're waiting again to see what we had to do up here before we could go there. But if we wanted to go here, okay, we're looking at this much money, without even going underneath the road, just laying the pipe to, or getting the pipe to there. So that's where we're at with that part of it. So, we're moving on it, just probably not as fast as everyone wants us to be, but we're doing the best we can.
No, that's why I was just curious, just wanted to keep a finger on the pulse and check in, see.
Now, how many of the residents that on Sioux Hall have you talked to that are wanting to get on, or would be wanting to get on? I know you.
We have not spoken with any of the other residents down there, I can though.
But we have 3, right?
We would have 3, and potentially 4.
And 2 of them are duplexes.
Yeah, right.
So,
3 buildings exist.
Yeah.
and then the store, because the store is supposed to be on.
Yeah.
It's not.
The other issue that I'll just raise, because we're gonna be dealing with this in the next month here, is that the town plan is being rewritten right now, or has been, the draft version of it is finalized, so it's gonna come before this board in August. And there's an issue to be dealt with there because they're gonna, the proposal is to change some of the zoning regulations in Sheldon Springs. So it's more, it's its own zoning district, it's not the same as here in the creek. And so there'll be some slightly different rules for setbacks and those sorts of things for, because of the smaller lot sizes in Sheldon Springs. And so there'll be an issue for this board to deal with about the relationship between the zoning and the sewer district. Because I think the state of Vermont, as far as I understand, lets you have it either one way or the other. Either you define where the sewer district is, and that's where the zoning is. Or you allow it so that if the sewer district expands, the zoning goes with it. So if the sewer system were extended down Sweet Hollow Road, then in theory, the zoning, all the setback rules would go with it. The development regulations would follow that expansion.
So the zoning stuff is being done, that's being developed right now?
Correct, yeah, so that, they're working on that.
DRP or zoning or?
No, the planning commission's been working with regional planning on modernizing those zoning bylaws, and so that'll kind of all come before this board at the same time, is my understanding, so.
I think for
Yeah,
anything that we're
yeah.
gonna look to do, it would be relevant, I mean.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just something for the board to consider if they,
There'll be a draft though.
yes, yeah, so.
There'll be a draft for the public to read
Correct, yeah.
before, in a hearing before it's.
Yeah, it's on the website now, actually, but I can.
The draft is on the website?
Yes, it is, yeah.
In what?
It's on the planning commission's page on the town website, but I can put the comment link
It's called, I was pulling it up and I was like.
Oh, my phone just turned on all the way itself.
Is there any consideration for any more development behind the store? Is that something that's being
I
thought?
mean, I think along the road is really the only thing that's what we're looking at.
Right now, right?
No, I think definitely you,
Right,
but that
so-
eventually, because like, solar, it's gotta have some kind of potential which needs to, because that would that change, you know, like capacity or pipe size or,
Probably all of the above, really,
Yeah.
realistically.
yeah.
I know at one point your dad really talked about coming from
School Street down.
yeah, making it
So
School Street extension to School Street all the way to Sweet Hollow, so.
Yeah, so,
if we did that,
Have you ever seen this?
Probably not.
You brought that before, right?
No.
That was in the last meeting, we had our own stuff, the old engineering firm.
I don't know, do you guys have one?
You were here.
But you didn't have this?
No.
in it.
Have you seen it?
No, so it's the same.
Yeah.
That's Homer's map from what years gone by.
1983.
Oh, yeah.
You got a copy of it?
Oh, I know all about that.
No, that's not a copy. That's what we thought.
I know all about that. That's already, yeah. That's major faux pas. Major mistake.
What happened? I guess I don't know the story.
Well, we went through the whole process of zoning. Engineer, da-da-da-da-da. And there's, if you read
Thing says
there's so
98.
many days
Yep.
after the approval that you come down and record it. And it never was recorded.
How'd you get a copy?
But
How'd you get a copy?
I don't have a copy of that. I don't know that I do, but I just know that there was an issue with that, and one where it never was recorded.
Oh, but I thought you just said you had a copy of it, or you'd seen it.
I've seen this, that was you probably put a lot of work into that. And then engineered and all this, and then the last, I wanna say 10 years ago, he was pushing on it again, I wanna say 10, 15 years ago.
That was
And then,
2000. When was it originally? 83.
that thing came about.
it never was recorded. So after you don't record it, then it like,
Did the 90-day recording thing start in like 2005?
I don't know, but I know that it was supposed to be, it was engineered, da-da-da-da, and it's up to the developer, which would have been,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right, to have it recorded, and he never recorded the thing.
So I think.
And then, so, as I recall, I'm not exactly sure, but we came to the select board and, you know, it's like, wanted to go work with the plan. Well, just go back to the planning commission and get it redo it. And that just, well, that sent, you know, nowhere over the top,
I think that,
so to speak, yeah,
I
right?
think that when this was done, that 90-day wasn't actually in place. I think we have a letter from the developer
Yeah, I
that
don't
says.
know, all I know is
I
that's,
think it was
I've never
established
seen
in.
this before, obviously.
No,
the last
So-
that's the last thing I knew about this
So,
project.
I guess we have an email from John Stewart saying that that 90-day part is irrelevant because that started in 2005 and this was done way before that.
I,
So,
and he referenced, you know, when they were talking about it.
yeah, so
They
I
never.
think when he revisited it, that 90-day was in place, but when this was all done, the 90-day wasn't a stipulation.
because I know that it was all approved by the town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
And the last that I knew about, the last that I knew about this, all that, in the end there was that like, oh, you never had it recorded.
well, at the
So I never-
time, I don't think there was
And
the
there
90-day limit for recording.
There was no,
Right,
yeah.
so before
I don't know.
2005, that stipulation wasn't there.
Well.
Yeah,
But I would assume, like, that was done so long ago,
Yeah,
that,
it's,
that you, if you were gonna proceed with something like that today, it might be different anyway.
you said it was already approved though, right? You said it was brought to the town and approved, but it was never recorded.
Correct, and that was part of the,
But then, at
that's
that
part
point.
of, that's part of the,
At
that's
the
part
time,
of the,
There wasn't a 90 day.
that's part of the, that's part of the procedure. That's part of the procedure, that you, here, you hire an engineer, the engineer does all
Yeah,
the
you pay all
work,
that money to do that.
and then you don't take it down and have it recorded. There's so many days to have it recorded, that's what I
Or
was,
else it's null and void,
something like that.
and you gotta do it all over again.
What, you'd have to go back to the planning commission and have it baptized again, okay?
Well, maybe we should baptize it, cause there's definitely a need for housing. I think
This is-
that's, I
I
think
don't-
that's 19 lots right there.
I don't disagree with you.
That's a lot of housing, so maybe
I
we
don't
need to
dis-
revisit
I don't
it.
disagree, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
And buildings.
Duplexes.
Well, that's what these are, duplexes,
Quadplexes.
quadplexes.
So,
That's, like I said, and then, of course, like today,
we can make a
you know,
perfect.
development is different today, they do things a little different today than they did,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know, so either way, it's just,
and all those new stipulations that are coming to be part of it, right?
But I think all that with
This should fly going with the Act 250 changes that they did, cause it's in,
absolutely,
the,
and they're half acre lots.
it's in the village center
The
already.
setbacks
Yeah,
would be
so,
just
yeah.
fine because they're big enough lots,
Yeah.
actually.
That, at least in my understanding.
And this proposal changes how the sewer is run, because this goes back to the back corner, and there's a pump station down here, and it's force main up to School Street, it doesn't come under 105,
No.
it goes all back
no,
this way.
that's right. That's right.
That would make it worth it.
No, I'm just saying
I know,
that's everything, this,
Yeah.
Right,
It would
it
have to
doesn't
go.
show this, doesn't show the store coming onto this, but that, I mean,
right.
you own this, all this property here, so.
That was, yeah,
So it's lot 2?
Lot
Not
two.
you this memorized, but lot 2 is where the current duplex is, it's not finished.
The one that's right on the corner.
Okay. I guess I always pictured this was a one-shot across and connected to Poor Farm, but seeing it as like multiple cul-de-sacs breaking off, it's a different picture.
cool. Oh,
Going to the poor farm.
okay.
I thought it was I thought it was a connected.
Oh.
The Poor Farm or the,
Sweet home.
It goes
the
up,
School Street?
it doesn't.
No, I thought it was gonna shoot like behind the school
Oh,
and connect, I thought it was a one-shot, you're looking to connect the 2 roads and then there would be houses along. And then,
Oh.
yeah, I'd never seen this or heard about cul-de-sacs that are,
Yeah, Homer's Way, Highway.
Picks one.
this is Meadow Drive.
I know.
They're pretty big.
I think we came up with that after the fact, Homer's Way or the highway. You pick which way you're all in a place there.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, is this something you guys are definitely pursuing, I gotta imagine, or
well,
wanting, or?
it's something you would be, you know,
That's what I'm thinking, you
They're the
guys,
developers.
you the developers.
They're the developers.
It sounds like we have to maybe go back to the drawing board a little bit because of whatever's changing, whatever, and,
I mean, that was
you know, I think
all
we're gonna.
approved to put that force main in and pump it up to School Street, and down where it goes. Then that would be, you know,
So you'd have to do the septic down across, and then we'd have to run out to that other cul-de-sac, right? It'd have to be a tee-off.
all
Is it-
there in your plans.
Yeah.
And that's what's gonna give you the sewer for all your lots. And it's cheaper to put that pipe around there and pick that all up and pump it up down School Street than it is to make 19 mound systems.
Oh, no, I think the question is, do we
So-
gravity feed it or not?
I think all the houses are gravity fed into this, along the back here, and down the road. And then once it hits this back sewer pump station, it's force main up to School Street, now from School Street, it's gravity back around, which is
Right, but
Force me.
with a potential change, it could be gravity feed down to sweep.
I think it'd have to be force main from here back to here.
Yeah.
It's a shorter run to force main to there. Except for your other properties that are farther down here, or one property down here, right? Right.
There's two.
There's two, so those two would,
And I'll ask the other folks that are over there.
I mean, that's quite a substantial, if you get a
Oh, that'd be good.
force main all the way back here up to here, that doesn't mean that it couldn't change, but it kind of naturally tips that way anyways. But again, that could all change when you go and have it reviewed, looked at, and done over, and you might not have 19, you only have 10.
Right.
You know,
Well, I do think that there might be a change just because of the store has expanded since that. That just shows the
went
original,
that way.
yeah.
Well, if you guys do some homework, we'll let you know where we're at as we go along, and
Okay, sounds good.
So I would assume we're gonna, with the camera work, we're define the area where there's
yeah,
potential problem,
Yeah.
fix that.
fix that, yes. That's first and foremost, make sure that if this or anything else that's above coming down has to get the rest of the way.
Yeah, we've had problems on this street, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this, giving us a little insight to what your dad always talked about.
Do you guys have a copy or need a copy, or do you need that, a copy of that? Or,
No,
Yeah, so the plan.
Yeah, so that's good, planning commission
Okay.
first.
and is,
that
what do
was
you need from us next? Like, what do we need to be doing now?
to proceed with, to push this project,
Uh-huh.
you need to go to the planning commission
Okay,
Okay,
and review that with them,
get it approved
and, yeah,
and record it.
correct. Correct, cause that, like I said, it was like, that was like, yeah, and then, like I said,
Yeah.
Homer had a spell. I mean,
I don't believe it.
No, no, Dad.
yeah, well, you know, that's right,
Thank you so much.
yeah. Yeah, Homer did have a spell, I remember that really well.
I'll take a motion to go into executive session to interview our highway,
Candidate?
Candidate.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session. Interview high candidate.
I'll second.
Alright, hearing that, all in favor say aye.
Right?
All opposed? Alright, we've exited executive session and now we're back into our water and select board meeting. Next on the agenda is the Franklin County Sheriff's Department policy proposal. I'd like to take a vote on if you would like to sign this contract. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Appears the nays have it, and we won't be signing this contract at this point in time. Next on our agenda is fire department paving quote from Hungerford Paving. And that's for the 12-foot section in back and 9 feet around the edge, and the three garage bay entrances in front. And is this work that Iron Grids can do it this year, I presume?
Yeah, so when I told them at your last meeting, you had approved the Gristmill Park.
Yep.
And I talked to them, it sounds like they could do it in September.
Mm-hmm.
So
Both projects?
I
If they
assume,
approve this?
yeah, that's when they are scheduling projects at this time, so, I held off on scheduling a firm date until we looked at this, because I figured it'd be better to try to get it all done at the same time.
Mhm.
I also contacted, they confirmed that they would only need, on the Gristmill Park project, they would only need one side of the fence taken down to get the
Mhm.
paver in there.
Yep.
And so I'm in the midst of getting a quote from the company that they work with regularly.
Yep.
Or we can compare that to what it would take for, if the highway crew could do it.
I think we're better off to have someone that takes fence
Yeah.
down
Right.
regularly.
Yeah, so we'll look at that issue next meeting but anyway, I'll try to schedule that obviously all at the same time. But as far as I know, it will be, they're available to finish it this year, in September. I just would have to schedule the exact date, pending your approval.
Yeah, and our road crew would take care of sod cutting and providing the fine grade and existing stone base, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so I talked to Seth and Hunter about that. I said some combination of digging in the bank and saw cutting to get, just so that whatever it takes to get, 9 feet of gravel base to pave over there. So they seem to, their only reticence about that is just getting that and making that saw cut as clean as possible, but I think it'll work.
Yep.
So, yes, that is the plan, so that by doing that, we avoid the handwork that they had proposed before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any discussion on this? Alright, I take a vote on accepting this proposal for paving down at the fire department. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Here's the ayes have it. It's approved. The gentleman's not here from Bassett for the trail signs.
You wanna sign it?
Yeah, I'll sign where Matt's, we'll sign where Matt's giving his, administration report.
Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, in the meeting, we had on the 26th, Minosh came and did the camera work on the sewer. As I mentioned, they encountered that same problem that seems to be right in front of Todd Derry's driveway. So I have, again, as I said, I have the recording of the camera. If anybody's interested in looking at that. They did all from School Street, all the way down Mill Street. I'm not sure, I don't think they went all the way to the sewer plant. I think we were trying to also do I think the area beyond the sewer plant, it comes down.
Towards the street.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we got all the way over there. And then,
Quick question, did they do all of School Street? Because there used to be routes in the line on School?
we did, so we didn't do, I don't think they did all of it. They did, where the sewer
Cuts over?
where it goes between 105 and School Street, they did that line there. So
Right.
not the, I believe that sewer feeds down from the other houses on the other side, they didn't go over there. But where the sewer line goes between the houses that are on 105 and the houses on School Street, they did those, or the manholes on that side.
There's not many trees left on School Street for them to interfere.
No, we did have one particular
There
one.
was a
Yeah.
problem with routes and they didn't get it all out.
Yeah. Again, it's, anyway, the other area that we were hoping that they would, people were really hoping that they'd have time to go up Boarding House Street, but there wasn't enough time at the end of the day because they would have had to go put water in the truck, and by the time they got water in the truck, it would be too late. It would be, we'd be paying overtime for that. So we have a verbal agreement with them, and I'm trying to see if there's a day that they're coming up to, I guess they frequently come up to Enosburg or other areas here and work like a half day. So we're seeing if there's a time they can, if they're doing that, they can stop by and just do that one street before they head home. So I'm working on trying to schedule that so that we can have that finished. The paving crew got here on Monday, last Monday, and they paved Rice Hill, Shaw Mill Road, Mill Street, and East Sheldon Road, and High Street. So that all seemed to go, they worked pretty long days. They were 12-hour days most of those times. They, unfortunately on Wednesday, the plant broke down there in Swanton at the end of the day, so they had just enough to finish East Sheldon Road, but they couldn't get over to Church Street to finish, so. And they have the contract on 104 out in St. Albans, and they're doing that this week. So they'll come back next Tuesday and do Church Street. And that'll be the end of the paving. Seth said he talked to the foreman there, and when they were some point on Wednesday, and they seem to be pretty much right on target with their pavement usage. So seems like we should be right in line with what is proposed in the contract. I should mention that we did finally get the grant agreement from the state at the end of the very last week of June, and the grant amount was slightly less than I thought it was going to be. I had applied for the maximum available, which I think would have been 200 and something thousand, but it came in at like 196 or 192. So, but that still almost entirely covers the paving. So, and Seth was somewhat less, because I was basing, my estimate for this project was using the Macy Road project we did a few years ago. And on Macy Road, there's more houses and more driveways to do, and we used a lot of that white stone out there. And the driveways that are on East Sheldon Road, most of them are with gravel, so it'll be cheaper material and aren't as many houses. So I think that we'll be able to keep it in the budget within the grant amount, just because the other work beyond the paving will be cheaper. And so we'll see. Obviously, I told Seth, do what you got to do to get the project finished, but try to keep an eye on the budget there. So anyway, the paving will be done next Tuesday. V-Trans sent us a letter. They're apparently, they must be moving closer to working on this bridge down here in the creek, because they're asking us to define the town right of way on that highway. So I'm looking into that, but that's telling me that they obviously were here earlier doing the survey work for that. So sounds like they're moving forward with that. Another thing that the state is working on is they are now turning their attention to the other side of 105 that'll be paved next year, and they're they got in touch with us about, they've marked all the culverts that they need to change on that road, and in a couple of circumstances that those culverts are close to our water line. And they wanted to know if there's some situation where the water line needs to be moved, or do we wanna do that, or we were gonna let their contractor do that? And we, after discussing it with Hubert and Seth and Steve, we decided to let their contractor take care of that. One issue.
That's only if they go deeper, is that what? they-
Yeah, if they somehow have to move the water line because the culvert is being, because when they put the new culvert in, it's gonna like run into the water line, something like that.
We discussed that last meeting too.
Did we? Okay, yeah. So, and Seth brought up an issue there that there is a culvert on the end of Shawville Road where it comes out on 105. That is in the state's right away, but we own the culvert, and that culvert is not quite deep enough to catch the storm water coming down the road. So I talked to the state about that, and they said, well, we can't add it to this project, but once we name the contractor, you can get in touch with them and see if you want to add, change that culvert out. Obviously, the town will be paying for that,
Mhm.
but so if you'd like me to pursue that, I don't know that it's critical, but the water does collect in that.
He's talking about along the west side of Sheldon?
It's on the east side of Charlotte, yeah. So it's on the store side of
Oh.
Shawville, but on the,
Are you talking about Sweet Hollow Road?
no, on the Shawville Road side. On the other side of 105 from Sweet Hollow Road,
Okay.
there's a culvert that goes across the road in the stage right away. But it's our culvert. And it's not deep enough to get the water coming down 105. So the water kind of comes down 105, it doesn't go in the culvert, and it banks up in the ditch there on Shawville.
Really?
Yeah. And then, I forgot whose house that is there, but they do complain about it.
Mhm.
Can't tell?
Yeah,
Bigger house is, can't.
yeah. Anyway, so it's a
You gotta hear what.
hypothetical thing, yeah, right. Anyway, so there were a couple problems with the paving there. Unfortunately, one of the mill trucks decided to jackknife around the corner on Mill Street, and they put a nice two big ruts right through it, unfortunately.
It's a yearly occasion,
Yeah.
you always have that happen.
Yeah, so we kind of got marred right away. And then in this particular area where I was talking about where the culvert is, I don't know why, but in both on Shawville Road and Mill Street, they paved right up to 105, like in the stage right away, it didn't stop where our highway ends. So I don't know why they did that, but something to keep in mind in the future, make sure that they mark that road correctly. But, okay, anyway, other things that are happening, as I mentioned again earlier, the Planning Commission had their public hearing last Tuesday. There really wasn't any input from the public that made any changes to the proposed town plan. So they have made their final approval of it. Now there is a 30-day period, a waiting period before the select board can take that up. So at the August 12th meeting will be the next regular meeting after that 30-day period. So at that meeting, a final approval of that plan will be on your agenda. And I'll make sure that you all get a copy of that plan to look at before then. I'm going to revisit a thing we had talked about before, and I apologize. As I mentioned at the last meeting, you earlier approved 2 appropriations for the ARPA funds. One to the fire department for the future payment on a fire truck to be selected. And then on the second one to the Historical Society for working on the second floor of the museum. At the last meeting, I asked you whether you wanted that the appropriation to the Historical Society to be paid out to them as a check, or whether they should be submitting bills to the town clerk. And you said that they should be submitting their bills to the town clerk and she can pay out those things. Now, the town clerk reminded me that our regulations would require us to then make sure that everybody who's submitting a bill would have signed all the necessary paperwork as a contractor that we would require when we do a contract. So we would have to have a non-work agreement with all those people submitting those bills, and they have to show proof of insurance and all those things. So she was wondering if it would be possibly less hassle if instead of having her pay those bills out, we made an appropriation to the Historical Society directly.
I think the way we approved that was not to exceed. So
Right.
if they don't exceed it, they give back what they use.
Right, so I think I assume that some of the work is obviously going to be done by contractors, but a lot of the work that's being done there is by volunteers who've done the hardware store, bought this or that. And so the town clerk's kind of wondering, do I need to make, she is concerned that her process that she has in terms of paying out bills is gonna be really cumbersome for that.
I'm fine with her just, I guess, for ease of multiple checks and hassle, I'm fine with just proposing that one check because of the Historical Society and not to exceed that amount.
Alright, okay.
That's my proposal.
Yeah, so,
Am I in favor of that?
yeah.
All opposed, anyone opposed?
Okay.
Okay. Again, I've checked in, the highway crew was out today, putting the road shoulders on after the paving was done and doing driveways. I discussed with them, there's gonna be, between the state's change on the conflict of interest, situation and the couple of changes that we made to the personnel policy as we were hiring, in this hiring round. There needs to be some pretty substantial changes made to our entire personnel / conflict of interest policy, because we essentially need to repeal the conflict of interest policy, because technically it's illegal now because of what the state has done. And then there's obviously the changes we made on comp time and need to be done. And then I thought that once we have the road crew in place, we might want to discuss uniforms again with them, because we had gone away from that because of the employee we had before. I think that the employees that we have to see about this, the new hire, if they would agree with going back to uniforms, and then if we did that, then we'd have to change the policy again on that. So I thought in the next, probably sometime before September, I'll try to make a comprehensive document with all those changes so that those are all approved. You have that before you, so it's all approved, so that when as we go into the fall, we've got personnel policy laid to rest, hopefully. Trying to think if there's any other particularly pressing things to mention. Oh, I on the audit issue, I have had some dialogue with League of Cities and Towns about that. I have a scheduled call with the auditing firm tomorrow to discuss with them. I think, Nick, you had kind of mentioned something like this. The VLCT said that you don't, when you hire an auditing firm, they are generally speaking going to do like the full workup, but that is not legally what's required in the annual reporting. The annual auditor's report that's supposed to be filed. So it's just that most auditing firms want to do more, not less. So in theory, if you could find an auditing firm that would provide you the bare minimums of what you need to report, you could do that. Basically, the LCT suggested that it would be probably ideal to do exactly what you suggested, every 2 years you do, every 3 years you do a full audit, and the other 2 years you just comply with what you need to do for the law. But they said it might be a challenge
But
finding
if you do
for,
a full audit, they have to go back those 3 years anyways.
Right,
So
yeah.
you're better off to do it yearly.
Right,
If not, you gotta
so,
go back
yeah.
those 3 years and do an audit anyways on those books because they've been audited, so.
Right. So anyway, I'm gonna discuss with them, mostly what I wanna discuss with them is how we can make sure that we are putting in the town report before town meeting, the information that we need, that we are supposed to be putting out there. And whatever we can do with the auditing firm to make sure that it happens. So anyway, that'll be a discussion I have tomorrow.
How much longer do you have on their contract, just out of curiosity?
I have no idea.
But we're year to year with them.
I thought we signed a 3-year with them.
The initial one was 3 years.
Oh, we're on a year now?
I believe after that, we're
Okay.
on year to year.
I don't know, actually, so I can find out that. The other thing, so I called Bill Sheets, the village manager in Swanton, and had a discussion with him about the Fairfield Pond water line.
Yeah.
That he confirmed, I actually referred it to the Northwest Access video on, I said that might be the easiest way to figure out what we were talking with Ronnie about. He disputed some of the things that Ronnie said, but in general it was, their plan is to shut that water line off by next July 1st. Now, apparently they're having some difficulty finding it out in the pond, and so sent a diver out there and trying to figure out where the heck the end of that line is. To his knowledge, there's really been no maintenance done on it. I think they switched to the Lake Champlain water supply sometime between 72 and 77, and essentially since then they've only done, whatever emergency repairs needed to be done. Now, Bill's only been there for 18 months, so maybe it might be somebody, maybe one of their public works people might be a better person to talk to specifically about that. The other problem is that since that line is that old, there's been no, they don't have any readily available, as-built of that to share with us. I'd probably have to go dig around in their town records to get that information if you wanted it. But so they would be willing to work with anybody who wanted to take that over, but what they would basically need is some sort of agreement that would pass the muster of their attorney, freeing them of any liability of that line if somebody wanted to take it over. Bill, so he said if anybody, a municipality or some water association can put together whatever will make our lawyer happy, we would be willing to turn that over.
I'm sure our attorney would want the same thing, so.
Right,
before we
yeah.
take anything over.
So, he,
Macy and Rowell was the most interesting.
right, now, obviously the water, Fairfield Ponds, was the whole reason why they don't use it anymore is it was downgraded as a potable water supply, so, I think whatever Ronnie would be working on, I think he's correct to be working with Agency of Ag to try to figure out what kind of water permit he could get for, agricultural only use. There would have to be some exception given because you can't, that water supply can't be approved for people. And Bill seemed to be a little skeptical about its use as a fire safety. He was concerned that the pressure was too low for a fire safety system, but I don't know about that.
Not at all.
So,
Makes them,
yeah.
make nothing of that water. Oh, really?
Anyway, obviously, yeah, their big concern is exactly the same as ours in terms of the liability if there was a kind of catastrophic or maybe not so catastrophic failure because there's no way to turn it off. And even if you did have a way to turn it off, could you turn it back on again if you had to fix it? Anyway, that's what I found out from my conversation with him. I could find out more if you wanted to know more about where it is and such. That it's just would take a little bit more work.
If you did wanna turn the line off, you'd turn it off in a place in the line that you wouldn't lose your prime.
Right.
You know the hill far enough so you shut off, you can turn it back on, it can come back on.
Well, your house.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a lot of,
Anyway, yeah, so that, I did some digging around for fun and the old, so that line was put in 1907, 1908, and it was all, it was 10-inch wooden pipe. And they put it in with divers in February in the pond. I don't know how that worked, but yeah. And,
I forget what size it is, but it's.
I think they did, I don't know when they did that, but I think it has been sleeved with the, some sort of cast iron pipe, I think, or something.
Thank you also, right?
Yeah, it was, well, that's when they started it, and I think it was built within like 1 year, and,
You did some fun
yeah, I like holders.
sometimes.
I was trying to figure if that would be the easiest way to figure out how old it is.
I mean, it's a valuable water asset for fire, or any fire department there, like on Nature Road, because you have water being pushed to you versus trying to find a pond.
Now, and I didn't know if it would be worth having a conversation or approaching the mill and asking them about whether, because we had mentioned that, there, I guess hypothetically, there could be a situation where you could connect that to the water safety system in Sheldon Springs, and whether the mill would be interested in that, or if we don't want to go out and bark up that tree or not.
I'm sure they'd be more than happy to give up the hydrant system, but whether or not you want to accept that.
Yeah.
Whether you leave well enough alone, or,
So is Swan gonna make us do all the legwork? If we did want to take it over, we'd have to search through all the documents, they would not be willing to give it.
I guess
Or they wouldn't be able to do some of the legwork, I guess?
I can ask Bill about that. I mean, I just asked him
No,
straight up.
I'm just curious.
I asked him straight up, "You have, some as-built or something you shared with me?" And he's like, "I don't know where those are." So it sounded like, I'm sure they must have something in the vault, but it certainly hasn't been digitized.
The fire department, no, it's not digitized, the
Yeah.
fire department was there, we'll say 5-6 years ago and so on.
Yeah.
When we brought this up to the board before, and row after row of, they have milers
Yeah, so,
of all that.
yeah,
It's not digitized.
or not. Yeah,
but I don't know if that would help you guys and what you need to know or not, but it's just, I'd probably have to take a trip down there and look at it, that's all.
I mean, we've had people walk the line, because you can see where the line goes, from the
Right.
pond all the way to
Right.
Swan.
but
But,
it's a case of, does the town want to assume it, and the
Right.
liability that goes with it?
right,
And then also, if it breaks, you're gonna maintain it. So,
at a point, it won't be,
yeah.
not feasible to maintain.
Right. Now, again, I don't know, I kinda wanna talk to Ronnie or what kind of conversation he's had with Anson Tebbets and crew there about whether, because, I'm not sure if he might need to get some sort of ag permit to use that water also, I don't know. So, obviously the town's interest in it is for fire safety, but I would hope a significant part of, if the town were to take that over, we'd probably want those farms to be customers to help subsidize, that. But,
Well, if they did hook onto the hydrant system, if you did,
right,
you're gonna hook, you gotta come back from 105 and hook it to the hydrant system there somewhere, or off Sweet Hollow or someplace. Hook it into the hydrant system. There's a scenario, if you did do that. And then, is that to our advantage or not? I don't know. No, quite a bit of.
Well, the only thing is you're relying on a facility, whether it's there in 5 years or not as well, so.
That's all right, that's all right.
yeah,
Whereas the water supply currently, for those two hydrants, or one hydrant,
right, it's there.
is there.
Thank you.
It just may be in the best interest of those two farms in the west end of town to try to acquire that water line. And, And if they can, they will,
Right.
because they put quite a lot of capital investment in Cal's run on, they need that water. So they're probably not, they're gonna pursue that right to the end.
I don't think it's a dead issue, it's just maybe not, maybe the town's issue. Per se.
That's right. I'm not sure that the town, I'm not sure that the town should pursue it.
Yeah.
We kind of, well, not to say that maybe we don't have enough information.
Well, I can,
But,
I
yeah.
can do a little bit more digging over there if you want, but I guess I can.
we don't know.
I should probably talk to Ronnie also about.
See where Ronnie's at, see what he's found out.
See what those discussions with the
They
state
are.
were, and whether that set off alarms, you know, in the state or not. You know?
Alright. Okay,
I mean, they are using the water now.
right. That's it.
And they have been down on the Macy Road for 50 years. 75, 70 years they've been using that water down there.
Yeah. And Bill said he said, yeah, there probably is some other house that's got water coming from that probably, but he doesn't.
There are,
Yeah.
Fiji had water right into Highgate.
Right.
Off that one. It went right down the road with that years ago.
So, yeah, I think that's all from me.
Yeah. I'll read the, thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
I'll read the meeting minutes from the 24th of June. In attendance, Stephen Dodd, South Hanford, Nick Norris, Rick Gasley, Greg Stebbins, Ronnie Macy, Matt Stebbins, and Greg. What did you say your last name, Greg? Jerry, the man.
Facey,
Facey?
like
Okay.
you put flowers in.
Okay, Facey, okay. Steve called the meeting to order and read the agenda. Ronnie Macy was added to, ask for concerns while he's here on the board. Ronnie and Rawls, Vermont Agency of Agriculture and Swan Village are discussing the old water line from Fairfield Pond, which the village owns but is planning to shut off and abandon next July 1st. Ronnie is asking the town of Sheldon if he'd be interested in some arrangement to take over that line, or if he could pursue contact to the, or if he could possibly connect to the town's existing water system to supply his herd. The town's system probably does not have as much capacity, and the board was concerned about potential liabilities of the pond line, which also supplies fire hydrants in parts of Sheldon. Greg noted that the pond line crosses nearby Sheldon Springs and that the fire safety water system in Sheldon Springs is reliant on the mill. Seth asked Matt to talk to Swan Village to find out more about the state of the pond line and what maintenance has been done. 8:02, the board took up the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office proposal for police services. The contract is for 1 year beginning July 1, 2024 with 16 hours per week of coverage. The total cost not to exceed $75,739.96. The board noted that the contract has contradictory language about whether the hours would be billed in advance or at the end of the month. Steve asked Matt to send the contract back to the sheriff's to have the billing language corrected. 8:16, the board took up the quotes for masonry repairs to the town office building. 2 quotes had been prepared which differed on the extent of the damage and the repair method. So each firm was asked to resubmit a quote for the same project. Nick made a motion and seconded by Rick to accept the quote from Ryan Sons Masonry to repair the town office, which carried. 8:21, the board took up the quotes for paving the fire department parking lot and Griswold Park, Court and Rink. Matt asked the contractor to revise the original quotes, which did not have accurate dimensions. The plan is to enlarge the parking lot, but on one side, the extension would have had been done by hand, as it is less than 9 feet wide of the paving machine. The road crew has tested the base around the parking lot, determined that it would need to be rebuilt on the narrow side. Seth suggested that the road crew could saw cut the pavement and create a 9-foot wide strip on the edge, allowing the contractor to use the paving machine to do that extension. Matt will ask the contractor if that will be acceptable, and if so, get a new quote. 8:34, Nick made a motion, seconded by Seth, to accept the quote from Hunter Paving to resurface Griswold Park Court, and has carried. 8:35, the board took up the bid, revised for roadside mowing. The bid is for 2 cuts on each side of all class 2 and should be 3 highway roads. One immediately in July and the other at the end of August. Matt noted last year the second cutting was done only on some roads. Seth suggested that the select board review the state of all roads in August and determine whether a full or partial cutting was needed. 8:40, Seth made a motion, seconded by Nick, to accept the bid by Steve Burley to mow class 2, class 3 roads at $3,400 per cut, $80 a mile. Matt will talk to Steve about the plan to review before cutting in August. 8:41, the board took up the proposed amendment to municipal zoning administrator deal service agreement, extending the contract until July 1, 2025. The total cost to Sheldon not to exceed $12,500. Seth made a motion at 8:45, seconded by Rick, to accept the proposal amendment, and the motion carried, and Steve signed the amended contract. 8:46, Steve read the meeting minutes of the June 10th meeting. 8:56, Rick moved and seconded by Nick to approve the meeting minutes as read, and the motion carried. 8:57, Matt gave the town administrator's report. He also discussed with the board general plans to improve the town communication with the public, including use of social media. 9:22, Rick moved and seconded by Seth to enter executive session to discuss applicants for the open highway position, and the motion carried. At 9:58, Seth made a motion and seconded by Nick to exit executive session and adjourn the meeting. 2 applicants were selected for interviews. Matt will work on scheduling. The next regular meeting is July 8th at 7:30. Do I take, can I have a motion for accepting the minutes as read?
I'll make a motion.
Does everyone approve them as being read?
Yep.
All fair side?
Aye.
All opposed? Here we go.
So, right, 2 things that came to mind as we were reading that. Steve Purley started the roadside mowing today. He had to finish, his first work he get started today.
Yeah.
He's fine with the plan to review in August and then maybe not necessarily know all of it. So he was fine with that. And second of all, we do now have a Facebook page for the town. Got about 80-90 people following that. Seemed to be getting good response. So had a lot of use for it lately just because we had paving and new people coming on board. So
Road closures and next time's over.
right, exactly. Yeah, we're also sharing a lot of the other regional news that's going on with the bridges and sewer work and other things that are going on around us. So, anyway, that seems to be going well.
No, looks good.
That's it.
Good job.
Anyone else have anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, do I hear any ayes?
Alright.
Yes. Alright.
Any opposed? Alright, meeting adjourned.